then I bring it right back. Two-step, then I bring it right back.
And just like that, welcome to Press Pass Live. Welcome to the world's oldest and longest online CFM's weekly podcast. That's it. We're breaking right here into the OMFL. I am your host, the commish, the founder, Nate, the owner of the Saints. And just popping in here is Mr. Maniac, the owner of the Deuce, the founder of the Deuce. I guess technically the founder, I don't know, whatever. He's the owner of the Buffalo Bills, your AFC divisional champions, conference champions, and OMFL Bowl representative for season 111. Mr. Maniac, how you doing tonight, bud?
Wow, what an intro.
If we're going to do it, we got to do it right.
Yeah, man. So, doing good. Looking forward to talking about all that's happening here in the OMFL.
Yep, you were not able to join me last week because you were enjoying a day with Dad watching the Dallas Cowboys. So if you want, as you go through this tonight, feel free to give us, drop some predictions here and there. But let's get this thing started by first talking about what's happened up to this point. I think the last time we were together, we were right through week number one or towards the end of week number one. So why don't you cover your favorite games from week 1, 2, 3, and we're about halfway or so through week number 4. Let's talk about a couple of games. Tell me what week, what game, and let's break them down.
All right. Well, one of the first games that really caught my eye on week number 1 was the Rams. We had been talking about him, how he was going to really probably be an improved team coming into the season with all the moves that he made. And then facing off against the Carolina Panthers, which we all know what Bird can do. And so this was a great matchup to start off, kind of like the season for the OMFL. And as you can see, looking at some of the stats in this game, Tagovailoa. I don't know if I got all that out right, but I think it'll work.
You did a good job.
Everybody knows something. He had a tremendous game, though. 3 touchdowns. Did have a pick. Was only sacked one time. Bryce Young struggled. Only had an interception. Did not have any touchdowns. 12 of 21. Just really struggled. He wasn't even sacked. I don't know if he was just harassed a lot or just off his game, but definitely didn't have the game that he would like to have. But why pass for a touchdown when you can run it into the end zone 3 times with Jonathan Brooks, who I think was also the offensive rookie of the year last season, and so he just really put up some tremendous points. Definitely for the Rams, though, you can see he spread the ball out tremendously in this game. Puka,
Nakua.
he had Nakua. I was thinking to say Nakua, but anyway, so he had 2 receptions, but 1 for a touchdown. Herbert, I think this guy is also one of the big bodied receivers that came out of the draft. 3 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown.
I'm pretty sure this is the tight end that went in the first round, early in the first round.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I think you said you had your eye on him as well.
Oh, I did.
But yeah, he had a pretty good game there with 3 catches and a touchdown. So, and then he also had another rookie, the wide receiver, TJ Kager. He definitely got into the mix as well. But you can see, just looking from his stats, he spread the ball around really well in this game. Defensively wise, I think you're looking at the Carolina Panthers. The first thing that catches your eye is Barnes. He is their man in the middle. Definitely did a tremendous job of tackling, 13 tackles in this game. So he was kind of like what we've seen from Bird using this guy. He's all over the field. Trevon Wallace also had a pick for the Carolina Panthers. Cameron Curl had a pick for the Rams. But just looking at this game, though, a 24-20 victory for the Rams. This was a really hard-fought, good back-and-forth type of game that really you would like to see in the OMFL. And there were several other games could have picked from Philadelphia. Well, no, that did not get played. That was a CPU. So, if you wanted to talk about scoring, I think one of the surprises was Bill 56 points on Denver. That was kind of like a shock, I think, looking at that one. But and then Minnesota and the Bengals. This game was really close. We see Nysonger really kind of stepping up. He's done really well drafting and in free agency and stuff. So we're seeing these guys that were kind of the lower end starting to make a push. Several great games, close games, and then there were several blowout games. So it was kind of like you had a mixture of like a lot of different things in week 1.
Week 1 was weird.
Yeah, it was it was just like the Bill game, for instance. 56 points. I don't think I've seen Bill put up 56 points maybe in combined 5 weeks together. He might put up 56 points for his team. So that first week putting up the 56, that was strange. And then just several others. Like I said, but there was also a lot of good close games that kind of your Saints versus the Commanders. That was another really kind of nail biter that just kind of took you down to the end. So that was a great way to start out. Moving on kind of to week 2, we saw kind of some of the similar things. The one I kind of wanted to pick out, though, to talk about more of week 2 will be the Denver and Tennessee game. But we're going to kind of touch on some of the other ones. Carolina, again, had another close game versus you, 26-24. That game was kind of back and forth. Cleveland versus New England, 26-20. Miami's been really rolling, 37-13 over Baltimore. Another close game, Tampa Bay, 16, Arizona 14. It was kind of like, that's to the high-flying offenses in the OMFL, not even, collectively putting up a lot of points, in what we've been accustomed to seeing. So that was kind of a weird game. But like I said, the one game I kind of wanted to focus on, though, this week was that Denver versus Tennessee game. There was a lot of yards in this game. 452 yards for Denver, almost 400 for Tennessee. Rushing yards, both were pretty even. Passing yards, really a kind of a nod to the Broncos with 320. But there we see Tennessee kind of getting rejuvenated with Love at their quarterback, 271 for them. Definitely first downs. You got to give the nod there to the Broncos, man. They were moving the ball all throughout this game, but what it took, as you see up there on the breakdown of the score, Tennessee had to put up 21 points in the fourth quarter to get the victory in this game. So a lot of things had to happen in that fourth quarter. It seems like Jordan Love just came alive in that fourth quarter. He had 4 touchdowns, and then the 289 yards. He was sacked a couple times. Bo Nix, he did have a touchdown, but probably a couple costly interceptions anytime he turned the ball over. We saw that from the bowl game. With me and Dwayne turn the ball over, it usually kind of spells for a tragedy for your team. So Tony Pollard, 8 touches, 123 yards, and a touchdown.
Not a bad day.
Yeah, he was rolling. Connor Lewis, the rookie running back from Notre Dame, had a really solid performance. It wasn't flashy, but 18 carries, 71 yards, 3.9 yards carry, 2 touchdowns, though. Definitely got it done in the red zone. Kind of looking at your receivers, the big time receiver in this game was Bobby Freeman. 9 catches, 246 yards, 4 touchdowns. So I'm looking at that score in the fourth quarter. Probably a lot of these came in that fourth quarter rush, trying to get back in the game. And man, did he put on a show with those stats. That's really impressive. Franklin, the wide receiver for the first-year wide receiver for the Broncos, had 5 for 86. This looked like he did spread the ball around quite a bit, and he's got a rookie wide receiver too, Jerry Bridge, kind of made a little bit of an impact in the red zone, 4 for 42, and he did have a touchdown catch. Looking at your defense, Graham for Tennessee, he's always around the ball. 11 tackles, 1 for a loss. He also had an interception. Just definitely gets it done on defense for those Titans. Simmons with a sack for the Titans. Stanton with a sack for the Broncos. So just really, really good football there. It was a tight game, but man, looking at that stat, 21 points there in the fourth, got the Tennessee Titans back in that game and actually ultimately won it for them with a big fourth quarter performance.
Lots of good games in week number 2, and I think that one sort of really stuck out just because of how great the Titans have started playing this season. They've got that team absolutely rolling, and I think we see them, especially in week 3 and 4, start to continue to build upon that. Miami's another one. I mean, 37-13 against Baltimore. A team that both teams are in the playoffs, but the Baltimore Ravens were overall the better team last year. But man, Miami just is another team that's got that offense rolling and playing really, really good football. What about week number 3? Any games there?
Yeah, week number 3, we did start to see some kind of teams kind of maybe taking a step forward, some taking a step back. We saw the Jets so far. I think they were kind of a pick to possibly kind of be competing so far, and they've kind of taken either a step back or haven't got their footing yet, and they fall to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28-0. That game definitely, Cincy though.
Did you get to see this game?
I did not.
It was the last game of the week, and I knew I was playing the Buccaneers next, so I got to watch a little bit of it. And I'm telling you, they were the Bucs absolutely on fire. We've seen Kevin get on those rolls before, where he is just unstoppable. This was one of those games. Guy was just unstoppable.
Yeah, and we've seen that from him. Like he just like gets in the zone, and if he's got the quarterback that he's feeling comfortable with, he'll just stretch the field on you, and you just like you're just kind of turning around. You can't find which way is right, which one is left. So he'll go off, and that's definitely what you see here. I wish I would have got to see that game. I want to give some love to the Texans. Roger, he has been putting on a pretty high-powered, high-flying offensive show so far this season. He is in the top with his high-flying wide receiver in the league. He was one that I thought about talking about just because he don't get a lot of spotlight. 37-35, though, against Carolina, a win for Houston. So I just want to say, congratulations to Roger. He's putting some things together and love seeing that he's really being competitive in these games. The Titans, and again, another close game. Indianapolis has kind of seemed like they're kind of putting some things together, maybe a little bit. But I think he's still struggling with this Madden, as some of the other guys are. And the game that I want to talk about, though, and I'm just going to touch on it since I'm going across here, Baltimore and the Lions, this 20-19 game, that's going to be the one I'm going to kind of highlight. Pittsburgh gets a 27-17 victory over New England. And I hate just passing over guys. Don't want you to feel bad, but just trying to make it quick because I do like to talk, and sometimes I run too long. But Denver with a 24-21 win over Washington. A lot of, like I said, some close games, but then we see some games that are just guys are kind of pulling away. The Rams, big victory over the Cardinals, 45-27. Seahawks fall to Cleveland. Seahawks are struggling.
They are.
I kind of wonder if he's thinking like, maybe I shouldn't got rid of Metcalf. So, but he is definitely missing him over there in Seattle. Jacksonville Raiders game, man, 28-20. Dallas versus Atlanta. I did see portions of this game. Atlanta was kind of ahead for a while. Dallas comes storming back in the second half, just solidifies themselves as the champion of the league. And again, Miami Buffalo. This game was crazy. And his offense, his wide receivers are so fast. He's got speed everywhere. And he jumped out to I think a 17-3 lead on me, and I was able to kind of come back on him a little bit and make a game out of it. But that was not 17-3. It was 17-7. I'm sorry, 17-7 game. But was able to come back and make a really good game out of that in the end. But again, I want to talk about Baltimore versus the Lions. This game, you're looking at the stats. Both guys couldn't hardly get any rushing going. 85 for Baltimore, 63 for the Lions. 195 passing yards for the Lions, 193. So these guys are almost split down the middle on that category. Turnovers, two turnovers for the Lions, only one for the Ravens. When you're in a close game like that, we're talking about that's probably the difference between winning and losing. Third down conversions, actually, the Ravens were having struggles on third downs. The Lions were doing a little bit better on third down, converting 8 of those. But I think looking at your stats, I'm still digesting my salad I had for supper. So
the salads, they hang on for a while.
Hey, just a quick insert. I'm down 40 pounds.
Look at you, 40 bro. Pounds, that's awesome. Man.
So Lamar Jackson, though, both of these guys play really well with their quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, though, looked like he did struggle a little bit as well. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 3 sacks. It looked like the guys were getting after each other because both of them had 3 sacks on the day, giving up.
Getting hit Vargas, our minimum passes for a game.
I just saw that too when you say that. So you know the rules.
Well, that's okay because Tim didn't hit his minimum rushes per game either. So.
Oh yeah, so they're just trading
FPR breaks right there. Those two.
2 touchdowns for the rookie Vargas or Fargus. I want to say Vargas, but Fargus. You know the rules, and so do I. Say goodbye.
I was late on the trigger.
Whoop whoop. But he had a solid game, man. 18-27. Not bad for the rookie. if it was week one, I'd say, okay, Tim, he was getting a little excited, getting pass heavy and stuff, but he's pushing this guy to try to get him leveled up or something. So the new face in Detroit, Henry, I'm not even sure if this actually carries over. Was Henry
he
in
did hit
Detroit?
the runs. I apologize, Tim. That's on me. I seen Henry. I was like, oh, that's Baltimore. And I just didn't realize that, no, Henry now plays for Detroit.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if Madden carries it over. I don't know if Henry was on Baltimore during this game or if he was.
Okay, either way, let's just blame them both for FPR breaks and move on with our lives.
They're both wrong. But Henry, we see him right here. It says Detroit, but Mitchell was putting the workload there for Baltimore mostly. He did have a touchdown. Not a whole lot to speak of, like I said. I think the big stat here was Gibbs, 10 carries, only 21 yards. We see this guy explode for big time games, and Baltimore held him in check. Flowers with a big game for Baltimore, 5 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown. The long of 69, so he was able to get him kind of unleashed on the long ball there. St. Brown, 9 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown. We're usually seeing this guy being kind of like second fiddle to Williams, but he was kind of carrying the team this game. Gibbs got 3 receptions. Williams, we talked about, he gets 2, but with a touchdown. Again, though, both guys spread the ball around pretty good. You look down the list, and there's quite a few receptions for multiple players in their offense. Skipping down over to defense, your tackle leader for Baltimore, which he had 3 guys up there. With those 3 guys, that's 32 tackles amongst 3 guys on his team. But 12 for Roquan Smith. He had a tackle for a loss. Your sack leaders, since we had so many, everybody just kind of tied. So if you want to look at all those sacks, I'm not going to name them all off. Pretty much everybody had a piece of the pie on that one. So Simpson, interception, the linebacker. So this guy's like a thumper, man. He's a big linebacker, 6'2", 234 pounds. He's a young guy. He can run all over the field. You man him up with the other linebacker that they have with Roquan Smith. Man, they're a formidable foe in the middle of the field for Baltimore. So avoid those guys. Arnold also gets a pick for the Lions, but man, this game was really close. Definitely one that if you didn't check out, he might be one that probably should have been submitted for maybe a OMFL Classic game, possibly 2019 though, and so might be one I might go back and check out just because that score that's pretty cool.
Week number 4, we'll cover it next week, but man, we got some good games in here already. Cincinnati with a 4-point victory over Pittsburgh. San Francisco with a 5-point victory over the Tennessee Titans. Miami with a 6-7 touchdown point victory over New England. Your Buffalo Bills put it on the Atlanta Falcons today, and then my Saints snuck away with a 34-27 victory against Tampa Bay. So some really good games that we can go back and we can cover as we get time next week. It's going to be a ton of fun to cover a lot of these games. They're coming in fast and furious, it feels like. I feel like, the season's already kind of blowing past, and before we know it, it's going to be absolutely playoff time. All right, let's look at what to watch for. I'll cover these because our buddy Dwayne had to work tonight, so he's not here. So let's look at week number 5, 6, and 7 really quick. Bengals and Packers, that could be fun. Little Koch kind of having a quiet early season. Packers, not quite sure what to see there. Dolphins, Browns, sign me up for this. To me, game of the week right here, right off the bat. The Browns have won some really close games, and they've learned how to beat good opponents in tight scores. Dolphins feel like they haven't been super duper challenged. They've kind of had big leads later in these games, and so that's going to be a ton of fun to watch that one. Patriots and Panthers. I just seen Bird. What's up, Bird? Popping into the chat. Bird and his Panthers, a little hot and cold here. So the New England Patriots, that could just be a fun game to watch. Lions and Eagles might be a ton of fun. The Buffalo Bills, your Bills, going to go face the Penguin-led Steelers. That could be a ton of fun. Brand new quarterbacks there. I'm sure that we'll touch on those before we get through. Texans and 49ers. Texans know how to hang with everybody. 49ers getting on a bit of a roll quietly. You know, the league's going to start taking notice here pretty soon, especially after the big victory against the Tennessee Titans. Let's just see. What can Mr. Roger do over there? Rams, the upstart and highly favored Rams against a pretty steady Eddie Jaguars. Fleury's got that team rolling. Brand new quarterback now. And so, let's just see what he can get going over there. Jaguars, Rams would be a ton of fun to watch that one. Seahawks and Buccaneers, two teams kind of struggling early in this one. I mean, they've had some nice victories, but they've also had some tough losses. That might be a ton of fun. Looking over at week number 6, Texans, Titans. All the reasons of why we're talking about Roger. Can he upset those Titans? Titans, I think, are going to be wanting to prove something after dropping a game this week to the 49ers. Let's see what they can do. You got to go face the Bengals. High-flying offense. Oof. Both sides. Both of you play really good defense. That's going to be a ton of fun. Steelers and Jets. I just think that's going to be a defensive battle between two teams that are building. That might be a lot of fun to watch. Chiefs and Chargers has potential. Now we got to see where we are by the time we get to week number 6 for these two teams, but that might be some fun to watch. Cowboys, Seahawks. We've seen this game multiple times. Seahawks in the past have kind of owned the regular season. It's been the postseason where they've struggled. Well, I feel like they're reversing the role now. It's like they're struggling in the regular season, but if they can sneak into the playoffs, who knows? They might go on a run. That might be fun. Jaguars, we talked about how good they've been playing. Now, by here, they're going to be getting a new quarterback kind of rolling and seeing how that goes for them. They're playing a red-hot 49ers team. Let's see what happens with that one. And you got to talk about Lions, Vikings. Two guys work together. They're friends. This is just going to be the Buddy Bowl. We get a couple of those every single Madden seasons. That one might just be a ton of fun. Bills and Panthers. Mr. Maniac kind of on that NFC South streak here. You're going to go face Mr. Bird and the Panthers. Sign me up just to watch that one. Commanders Chiefs. That just might be a low-key fun game to watch and see how that one plays out. What else we got here? Falcons and Dolphins. Falcons had to struggle to keeping a close game against Dwayne. Dwayne ran away with that one, and the Cowboys late in that last week, and then just got sort of embarrassed against your Buffalo Bills. You even said, I feel bad about what I'm doing right now. I was like, no, I need you to put the foot on the throat and knock him out there. Can he get things turned around here for a really high-flying, powerful offense that we know Massimo can do? Cardinals and 49ers might be fun. Browns, Bears could be some fun. Texans, Seahawks, man. Poor Texans. I feel like they're like me. They got a little bit of a run here of really tough teams. Yeah. And then game of the week in week number 7, Titans and Rams. Those Rams have gotten some flow underneath them. They've gotten some rhythm, good quarterback play, pretty good powerful kind of pass game, run game that balances it out, and then a defense that makes plays against Kobe, who I think has built a really fast, really good defense, and he's got playmakers developing on offense. That just could be a ton of fun to watch that one. That's what we're watching for. We recap in the first couple of weeks, and now we want to turn the corner a little bit and talk about some impact players here. Now, as per normal, I've not had a whole ton of time here to dig into a lot of these numbers, so I'm going to be doing what we seem to do here in the OMFL, and that is absolutely wing it. So I want to talk about new players making an impact for their team early on. Bird, you do not suck. This is what you do. You get off the slow starts, you get it figured out, and you make runs in the playoffs. I think you play with your food. Maybe that's what you're doing. But I want to talk about Maniac, upstart players. This could be free agents who are going to a brand new team. This could be rookie players. We like to talk about our rookies. Just something fun about Madden, drafting a rookie impact player. He gets onto your team. He revitalizes, energizes you. Now, we've seen it go the opposite way too, where you get a little too focused on the new guy and you kind of get out of your element. But let's talk about some of these early impact players. I'm going to put you on the spot. You got any early impact players that you want to look at right off the bat here?
Well, I mean, it's always like it's almost kind of like the I don't know how you would put it, like the easy way out, I guess. I was thinking of another term, but the best way I can put it is the easy way out is to look at the quarterback, because nobody makes a bigger impact than a quarterback on somebody's team. I think I know he gets so much accolades or whatever, and already gets talked about a lot, but you can't look past the new quarterback in San Francisco, Ricky Scott Oli. He's like 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 72%. I think he's a star dev, which he's already unlocked him. So he's star dev. He's just got. If you look at his build, he's really got all the tools kind of to be a successful quarterback. Decent throw power, deep accuracy, medium accuracy, short accuracy. They're all 80s, and I'm sure he'll have them higher. But even with a quarterback, a young quarterback with awareness starting off at 71, that's pretty good. I think the big thing, the undercard thing here is the speed and acceleration. 90 speed, 90 acceleration, 93 change of direction. So this guy's like a poor man's Michael Vick or the guy from Baltimore, Jackson. So he's kind of in that mold, and he fits exactly what D Money wants to do with his quarterback. And so it's just we always talk about, man, how does he end up with all these guys? But hey, he's figured it out, and he knows how to build his team the way he wants it. And that quarterback is just an absolute impact player for those 49ers.
It's stupid. If you go look at his team, he's got less players under 90 speed than you have fingers on both hands. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense of how we've allowed this guy to build this kind of team. They are crazy good. And that defense, I played him a couple of weeks ago. I felt like I hung with him for a little bit. I got to a 14-7 lead late in the second, gave up a drive, ended up tied 14-14. Then he just kind of ran away with it in the second half because I kept getting 2 streaks wide open. Now I'm hurt at receiver, so I got kind of some slower guys in at receiver, but my guy's got 2 or 3 steps on his dude. I throw a perfect pass, and his cornerbacks are so fast. They just run it down and pick it off. And it's just, you can't get running game going. You can't get a pass game going. He just has so much speed, and it's like good quality. It's not like 59 overall, 63 overall players with 95 speed. It's like really good mid 70s to high 80s type players that are out there making plays. I'm going to brag on myself. I never get to do this. I never have impact rookies. I'm always drafting the unsexy positions. But Malik Weatherspoon, who has been hurt a couple of quarters, so he's got a couple of quarters missing here. He is leading, I think, the OMFL in carries. Am I right about that? He is leading the OMFL in carries because trying to stay established to the run game, but he is leading the OMFL in rushing yards. He's averaging 5.4 yards a carry. He's got 3 touchdowns, averaging 98 yards per game. He's got 8 broken tackles, along of 45. This kid has really been dynamic. He's added a new layer to our offense, which has helped us open up the passing game a bit more. He's got speed. The acceleration could use some help there. Nice change of direction. His strength is building up. This kid is just dynamic. And in a couple of games where we've needed to make runs, we've needed to make that Panthers game was a game that we tried to make a comeback. We made an attempt at a comeback, and it was really on the back of Malik. I mean, the guy was just dynamic. He just took off. He was coming around the corner. He's breaking away. He's breaking through tackles. He was a little stymied against the 49ers because, again, they're so good on defense. They have so many fast players, but so far, this kid has been a dynamic player for us. And along the same vein, before I hand it back to you, you got to talk about, I just had him up here, Mr. Matthew Stark. He went just a couple of picks later in that round. I think it was, I picked Malik late in the first. This Matthew Starks came early in the second. Another guy, 320 yards. yards, 5.2 average for the Packers, 3 touchdowns, 4 broken tackles, a long of 71. He's got good yak. He's playing really, really good football for the Green Bay Packers. And anytime we've seen Priest have a balanced attack, and really the few seasons where we've seen Priest focus on the run first, he's been dynamic and he's won some games. 2 early running backs making a difference for their teams. Who's your next impact player?
I hate spending like all my effort on offense, but I think another one that just sticks out to me, looking at the overall body of work so far through the season, and the Bears wide receiver Watts, the 5'9", 194-pound rookie out of Indiana, 35 catches, 649 yards, 8 touchdowns already on the season. He's definitely been a high target for Colin. He's already played like 207 snaps. Looking at that from Madden, so he has been on the field every chance that he's gotten. He's had him on the field making a big impact. I mean, that's second in the league in yards, second in the league in touchdowns, only behind the receiver from the Texans on that DeMarco. Yeah, I couldn't remember him, but just talking about we know what Colin has done. Like I told him, I kind of teased him. I think in the chat back when he was the Panthers, it was always DJ. I want some more. That kind of was the nickname that I'd given him because, man, he was just like, he fed that dude the ball and he just became an absolute unstoppable weapon. And you kind of see that possibly being from somebody like a player like Watts. When you look at 94 speed, 96 acceleration, his catching is already at like 87, and he's got some pluses on it probably from his coaching thing, but catching traffic 84. We're talking about a rookie just starting out. So
normal dev.
He has got everything really to really get started and off the ground. The only thing that's kind of like weak on him is his release, but you can kind of scheme around some of those things. You can get guys in different situations where they're not facing a lot of press coverage and stuff, and he's definitely scheming and getting him mixed into his game, and man, he is making an impact for the Bears.
I want to talk about a non-rookie really quick. DK Metcalf, right? One of the bigger trades that happened this past offseason. He goes over to the Los Angeles Chargers. 20 receptions, 282 yards, and 3 touchdowns already on the season. A rack of 120 yards. He's got a long of 55. So, DK still getting it done. It's going to put him at the top. What is this? Just off the top 8 in the league in catches. So a good return there for the Chargers on a draft pick as they gave that up, hoping to bring in a guy that could continue to make plays for them. Any other players that kind of caught your eye? Some new players on their teams?
One passing by was on another running back. I think was Bill had made a trade and got Jacobs from the Packers, and he's made a big impact so far. 62 attempts, 360 yards, 7 touchdowns. We saw Bill really kind of taking his offense to a different height so far this season. So that could be a really big impact player that's helping him do that. Defensively, I think you look at maybe I just saw the player ago. I'm trying to scroll right fast. Javon Holland, I think he's kind of I don't know if he was a late last season trade or this season trade from the Dolphins to the Colts. He's made a pretty good impact over there for the Colts. He's one of their top tacklers, and he does have an interception on the season. It looks like it was returned for a touchdown. So that would be one that I would kind of point to. Also, one that I faced was Jerome Baker, the Ohio State linebacker. I don't know if Big Hurt picked him up in free agency or in a trade, but he was using him. And oh my goodness, man, that was the only thing that I was commenting on my stream. Like, man, he was coming in and laying the wood in the middle of the field every time I was running the ball. Like, it was like a hit stick, and it was bone crushing, man. So, but he's got 28 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 interceptions, and he had. It doesn't show deflections, but he had a couple of pass breakups from just big hits in our game. So that would be kind of one just quick touching that I've been a part of or seen evidence from in my games.
Seen a lot of Buffalo Bills up here on this defense, so clearly bringing in a couple of guys that are making plays for you. There is some things that caught my eye that like they're not really connected to this subject, but if you go to tackles for loss, one right end, one left end, and one defensive tackle for the 49ers, all in the top 4. 3 of the top 4 are 49ers. Sacks, 2 of the top 3 are 49ers. This is why he's starting to get things turned around over there. So that's a look at some impact players. Let's open up the OMFL mailbag, Mr. Maniac. Good to see you, Bill. What's up, fellas? Glad you guys are with us. Let's go open up the mailbag and see what the guys are saying. I've seen lots of questions in there, so we're going to break it open and see what they say. So, boom. Mr. Nicesonger says, what do you think it takes to build a successful team? Talk about an open-ended question there. What do you think? What's it take to build a successful team?
Well, you got to manage the cap, one, and then you've got to build really in the draft. You got to be smart with your moves. We've seen a lot of guys we've commented about where they throw away their draft choice picks to people like D Money, and then they suffer for a whole cycle because they have a bunch of close to aging, recessing players that they get off of those guys that, they come in as a superstar, but they're not able to maintain them, and it just starts kind of a snowball effect. And so I really think like you have to manage your cap, your draft picks. You gotta have some type of draft picks that you're able to replenish your roster, and then make smart moves when you need it. Like say in a season, if you're short on a defensive tackle, making kind of an impact in the middle of your defense, or an outside linebacker, or a pass coverage linebacker, maybe even like a running back. We talked about Bill making a move for Jacobs. Those are the type of play or the type of things that you can do that really can take and your success be made in your team. And I think if you fail in that, then again, like I said, you start to see the snowball effect where you're giving away your draft picks all for really aging players, and you're doing it season in, season out, and you're not really turning your team into a champion style team and keeping, like I said, the salary cap. If you don't have those young guys, you're going to just keep paying, and then the next thing you know, like, well, I'm already through the roof on my salary cap. Well, now to get under the cap, I've got to start making like crazy cuts. Like, well, I've got to cut Josh Allen, or I got to cut this guy, and that guy that are really solid players on my team, and then you're kind of starting from scratch again, and it just, again, the snowball effect. So.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything to add. Listen, number one, I haven't built a good team, so Maniac has. So why would you listen to anything I have to say? But I would say the things
I think you are building a good team, though.
I don't know. We'll see. I got a long way to go. I think having a quarterback that you can count on. I don't know why my computer's saying there's an encoding error. You guys let me know if the stream is screwing up or not. Now I'll keep an eye on things. But I would say a quarterback is going to help a ton. Speed at the skill positions, and building a team that fits your style. I think that is what gets lost in translation. You can go look at the D Moneys, you can look at the D Waynes, you can look at the Maniacs, the Denvers, the Little Koches, and try to just replicate what you've seen their teams do. And I'm telling you, what makes these guys good is the fact that they build teams that fit their style, fit the way that they want to attack. Now, that doesn't always go well, but overall, it is what helps give coaches here the most success over the longest period of time. Mr. Nightonger says, what coach or coaches do you think opened the season with the toughest schedule? Two come to mind right off the tippy top of my brain. The Saints, absolutely. Tough schedule. The Miami Dolphins, absolutely a tough schedule. And the Carolina Panthers have had a tough schedule. Those are just three that caught my mind, and being really selfish about mine. Those are three right off the bat that's like, I did not get the number one draft schedule of the whole league. And the Dolphins have been impressive with their schedule. I would also put the Browns in there. They've been really impressive because they've had some really tough opponents that they've gotten good wins with. Anybody else that stick off for you?
The Saints was a straight one that came to my mind because I looked at your schedule and I was like, "Geez, and you finished what, last place in your division?
Last in the whole league. I had the number one pick."
Yeah. So that, and your schedule is like tough. So I don't really understand that point. But Panthers were another one I was thinking about. I also think that you look at the Lions. I think the Lions have had. I mean, anytime you have D Money in the first game out of the box, that's a tough schedule. I don't care who else you got on the rest of the schedule. I mean, you open up with D Money. 9 out of 10 times you're probably going to lose it. So that's kind of like one of those like, I'm starting out behind the 8 ball to get started with. I ain't even getting going.
Big Hurt also threw his out there in chat. He says he had Seattle, Jacksonville, Dallas, and Buffalo in his first 4.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a pretty tough schedule too there. So
wait, Nate's not actually beating himself up unfair this time. He's actually beating himself for a reason.
That's absolutely right. There's an actual reason there. And Trey sneaking in here. Welcome, Trey, to Press Pass Live. There's a real reason, man. It's been tough over here.
Jeez, sounds like the OMFL's having a bit of a shakeup where if you're last, you're getting put with the best schedule.
Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same, as D-Money is undefeated in this brand new season. So,
surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I really think you can look at everybody from the NFC South really has a tough schedule because the divisions that you guys are matched up against this season, you're all kind of doing the carousel over there.
I almost paused you and went, we all? And now we're like, oh yeah, he's not in the NFC South anymore.
Yeah, I'm over in the AFC side, which is still really weird to think about, but it feels odd. Almost feel like I'm away visiting or something.
How do you think I feel? I'm on the outside looking in on all this.
One day soon. Let's talk about early offensive and defensive rookies of the year. Actually, to do this, I'm going to try to pull up Neon Sports on my phone. I should have had that up already, but I did not. And I don't know if you've already got it up, but let's see if I can't get it up. Ooh, there's a statement I think I'd be making tonight in front of everybody. I know I'm 45. I don't have any problem getting it up. That is not an issue over here. I'm talking about Neon Sports, which now wants me to log in. And so I appreciate it doing that for me. And offensive and defensive rookie. You know where I find it tough is when it comes to defensive rookies. I think it's the nature of the beast that we always talk about the offensive players. It's just easy to talk about the offensive players. But to really
they're so sexy,
They are. And it's like, you know what? Let's start with defense this time. So I'm going to go to leaders here. I think we got rookies. I say that, And now I think that I'm absolutely wrong.
Well, I will tell you from Madden, if you search in the NFL, the tackle leader is actually the rookie safety for the Bears. He's got 38 tackles already on the season, so he's leading the league. He don't have much other stats, but I mean, a rookie leading tackles is pretty impressive. Well, and then he's also got. I was thinking, let me make sure I don't have like the Bears as my. His top three guys are tackle leaders, and then number 2 is Durham, which is also the middle linebacker rookie.
Yep.
He has 36 with 3 tackles for a loss and 2 sacks. So
2 sacks already too for that kid. Bruce Noel, he's probably going to get some action now. Neon Sports doesn't show tackles the way the game does. So Neon Sports is only showing 10 solo tackles for him, but 2 interceptions already for the middle linebacker from Miami. And then the Bears guys are just kind of doing their thing over there with lots of big plays. Looking at the interception leaders for the rookies, Noel, the middle linebacker, is kind of leading the way. Not shocking for this one. Chad Gray, a free safety for the Dallas Cowboys. He's tied there with 2 interceptions already on the season. And then sacks, this one hurts because this guy had 2 sacks in the opening game and they got hurt on the first drive of the second game. That's another thing, Trey. Yeah. I've got 5 starters out on injuries and it's only week number 4. So that's another thing I'm dealing with. But Damian Mullins, the number 1 draft pick here in the OMFL for season 112, absolute tear week 1, week 2, first drive of the game, gets injured for 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. I think it was 5 weeks, counting the week that it was. So he is currently still leading the OMFL in rookie sacks, but tied with him is the middle linebacker, Dale Durham. So Dale Durham is a name we've mentioned a couple of different times. He's going to be a guy that's definitely going to get lots of attention. Now let's talk about the kind of like the sexy guys, right? The guys you were talking about. Looking at touchdowns for receivers, Tyrone Watts, he's already got 8 touchdowns through 4 weeks for Chicago. You already kind of pointed him out, talked about how he is big, tall guy, fast, athletic, already making plays, 8 touchdowns on the season. And then Perry Tyson, the wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, replacing DK Metcalf, 5 touchdowns on the season, 282 yards. He is almost 450 yards behind Tyrone Watts. That's how far this one's starting to get ran away. Who else you got on the offensive side?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at those guys, and I just want to point out too that Tyson guy for the Seahawks, he's got 5 touchdowns and only caught 14 passes. So
it's crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
His Trey numbers.
Yeah, Trey numbers. I think
numbers, not Trey numbers.
I think you have to look at too your rookie Weatherspoon. The body of work that he's doing, he's a bell cow. He's leading the team and the league with rushes, 73. He's almost got 400 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. He's averaging almost 100 yards a game. So, and really probably would be averaging that. I think you said he got hurt one game for a while, a couple quarters. So that probably definitely hurt him. So I think he's on the rookie watch. And then also. Again, I have to bring up the quarterback for the 49ers, yep. 11 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. The body of work that he's putting in, and I don't even know what he's got rushing wise. So that could be another thing that he's utilizing his ability to scramble and in the red zone. You know, he may be picking up some of that. It looks like he's only rushed twice and fumbled once, so maybe he's not going to be rushing with him all that much.
Good.
So,
you're saying he didn't get a scrambling quarterback?
Well, no, This guy's got 90 speed.
Well then,
yeah, 90 speed, 90 acceleration, and 93 change of direction quarterback. So,
look, Fargus is not bad.
Stay in the pocket.
I almost said D-Money. Tim and the Lions quarterback Fargus, not bad, but the Scully numbers are just like so far and beyond above everybody else. Yeah. It feels like it's coming down to a couple of key players at every position race instead of several players at one position.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel to it, and I think it's going to weigh heavy too. What kind of like impact they made on their team, if it was a positive impact or a negative impact. Like you said, the quarterback for the Lions, 6 touchdowns, great, but he's also got 6 interceptions. So got to take care of that ball, and whatever they do with their team. Makes a big impact on what we vote also, or at least what I vote. And I've seen that kind of take place too with others' votes when it goes to the Rookie of the Year.
Now, the next question I thought was interesting. Nicehunger said, do you feel not having the chat pop up allowed you to concentrate more on your game in the win last night? Now, Maniac, you've been streaming a lot more lately with voice on and being able to read chat. Tim, I'm sorry. I apologize. Please don't hate me. Mr. Trey, you, even though you're not in the OMFL currently, I've seen you stream before. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I am able to concentrate more whenever I'm not physically like face streaming and reading the chat. It does become a bit of a distraction, but that's on me. It's hard to not interact with the chat. I don't want chat to not interact with me. That's sort of the whole point of doing the whole thing. But I will say the 2 times I beat D-Wayne, the 1 time I beat D-Money, the 1 time I went on a roll in the playoffs and beat both those fools and made it to the OMFL Bowl was all times where I was not face streaming. It was just regular streaming, and I did not have to read or interact with chat. So I have found that games that I don't interact with chat, I do play better, but it's not an excuse. It's just a lazy take. I got to concentrate on what I'm doing and concentrate on chat in between plays or whatnot. You guys find that ever a distraction whenever you've streamed?
Well, being a newcomer kind of to it, it is in some ways, because, like you said, you want to kind of see what's going on with the chat when you're making plays or whatever, and guys will chime in like you were today. You were telling me like, no, I need you to put your foot on his neck, and so even though it's for 10 seconds of distraction, it does kind of like get you like a little bit like, okay, where was I at now? Because I'm looking at that, I kind of chuckled at it. I'm like, oh, it's like 3rd down and 6, and the play clock's down to 12 seconds or 13 seconds or whatever. So now I got to make a play or call a play, and so there is a little bit of a distracting, even if it's just for just a slight few seconds or whatever. And I already can't multitask because
Me neither.
I'm just like I'm a very just one project type person. Get it done. I work real well with it, and then I move on to the next project. If I ever get multiple things going at once, I'm scatterbrained. I'm starting to panic. I'm like, oh, I can't get this done, and so yeah, that, and I'm not even on face cam, so now that kind of makes me wonder, like, do I want to do that, so, but I definitely do think that it makes a difference. So
I personally, when it came to reading the comments and the mic was live, I'm more focused on, like, if those comments came up, which they hardly ever did, I would reply to them during like the play selection screen. But as soon as I've made my play and picked it and ready to go, I zoned it out for that brief period of time between plays.
Yeah, I need to concentrate more on mine. Mr. Denver says 5 teams have yet to win a game. Any team on that list surprise you? I'd be interested to see what Trey thinks, because he's kind of separated and watching the OMFL from a distance right now until we can get him another team. This sounds like a cop-out, but I would honestly say they all surprise me, and I'll back that up before I toss it to you guys. Commanders are a much better team than his record shows. Man, that guy fought me tooth and nail to the very bitter end. Now, he did run 80% zone coverage, and that always kind of helps you hang into a game, but the Commanders played really, really well. Jets, Bears, Chargers, Colts, those are your other 4 teams to not win a game. All great owners. All owners that have either won a bowl game or been very close to winning a bowl game here. I don't think Colin and I don't think Pepper have, but they've been very close. The Colts, the Jets both have. So just the owner and the fact that they 3 weeks into the season have not won a game is really surprising to me.
Yeah, I would have to just agree with that wholeheartedly. I think one of the biggest maybe surprises, and it's kind of between both these guys, is the Jets and the Colts. We've seen both these guys win bowl games. We've seen them be in the top year in and year out in other Maddens, and this Madden has just not been kind to them at all. I know since he took over the Jets, which in real life and in Madden, they do have some nice pieces, but yeah, they're kind of in disarray, and so he's trying to get them in a position where he wants them. I really felt like the Colts were going to be a team that were going to be on a big move upwards this season, and we saw him have a little bit better success in a couple games this season. But again, when you look at their stats right here, just the points for and points against,
25
each one of
points
these
for the
teams.
Jets. The next closest team has double.
So that it's just like it kind of it's you see those kind of stats and you're like, oh wow,
It's crazy.
Offense is really been a struggle for them, and they're playing pretty solid defense. I mean, they're not giving up a lot of points, but still their offense is just in dire straits right now, and so you see them struggling. And so I think though the Jets and the Colts are like two of the biggest surprises. Then I think Colin and the Bears would kind of fit in that category as well. But
playoff team
just
last
seeing
year.
that those guys being there at the end and winning championships before, and seeing them in this position, you're like, it's kind of a shock.
Yeah, by all means, the two that come to mind just off the teams that were named, you'd think Cincy with the Jets and Colin with the Bears, those would be two guys that would be easy to adapt to the pieces on those teams. And the fact that they're winless at this point in the season is kind of shocking.
Denver's next question was the reverse of that. At the time that he wrote this at 2:39 Central Time, he said, we have 6 undefeated teams. Anyone on that list surprise you? Now at 9:30 or whatever time it is, 9:45, 10 o'clock, whatever time it is, there's only 3 teams left. Dolphins, 49ers, Cowboys. I'm just picking on him because I feel like he played well last season, but not this well. The Dolphins has to be the surprise. I mean, the other two don't surprise you at all. Dolphins have that offense rolling, 120 points scored for his team. I mean, he's right behind the Texans, the Packers, the Titans, the Steelers are up there. So the Dolphins, I would say, are my biggest surprise. How about you guys?
Yeah, I would definitely go the Dolphins. I mean, I've faced him so far this Madden. This will be our 3rd time, and he's actually bested me 2 of those games. So I'm only 1-2 against him right now in this Madden, and he is just offensively. If you can't slow him down, you're going to have problems because he plays really solid to good defense, and his offense is just amazing. So it's if you can't come to play on defense, he's going to get the best of you. And I think, like you said, the other two, they're multi-champion winners here. So that's a no-brainer on those two guys. With the Dolphins, he's definitely putting out his best effort this season.
Yeah, I mean, going off the fact that 2 of the other teams is the Cowboys and the Niners, and it's those two, you can't really be surprised in that aspect. But yeah, Moss being, at an undefeated record at this point, it's starting to seem like he's bringing in back in that run that he had towards the OMFL Bowl a few cycles back. If he was pretty dominant throughout that playoff run, and if he can maintain that playability through, there's arguments that he could be a contender. It's just he hasn't shown the consistency to keep it there, but it's not like the ability isn't there for him to make that kind of run.
Absolutely agree. Lots of deep ball questions coming up. So my preference to all of these are, well, I don't know what word I'm trying to use. I'm tired. My disclaimer would be, I think the new passing mechanic does lead to the deep ball being better. So I think that's a general cover all to all these questions. But Priest gets us going with, what defense do you think is best for the deep ball? I am absolutely default to cover two man zone. Like, I like having the two safeties deep whenever I'm playing guys that like the deep ball, especially on the outside. I'm trying to play one of those safeties. I'm trying to play maybe even off coverage. That one kind of hit and miss, but definitely cover two man with the two safeties over the top. What about you guys? And I wish more guys would do this. I wish more owners here shared secrets and tips and tricks of the trade to help the league get better. We don't do that. A lot of guys keep their stuff super close to the vest, but I don't care. I don't win enough around here. I like cover two man.
I was fixing to tease out. I'm not telling you my secret. No, I do like to have the cover two men over the top. I think also when you're facing a guy like just for instance the Dolphins, he's got speed at every position, and he's got his backups have got speed. He's kind of slowly almost getting kind of the D-Money team mold kind of going with the speed, at least to the speed category. But cover four can also be. I think too. You also have to look at like your player personnel. You've got to have really good players with good agility type ratings in those certain situations with speed and acceleration and change of direction, because a lot of those times when they're like in chase mode or getting over the top, you got to have those guys that can get back there and cover that. If you got a 90 speed guy going up against a 96 speed guy, you're probably going to get burnt if you don't have anything like well over the top. And if I'm facing up against that guy, I'm probably like trying to back up my defense a little bit. Cover three match sometimes will work good for over the top plays, especially if you'll make sure like the deep safety in the middle of the field is kind of shaded to the guy that you're anticipating getting the ball. A lot of times those two guys will tag team the deep ball, so you'll have one guy over the top, one guy will kind of cover under the middle. It just depends on like what type of offensive play they've got called. If they got trips to one side and maybe a tight end to the other, sometimes it can really cause problems if you're in a cover three. But if it's like a two-man set or like a three wide but two to one side, and you have that safety playing over the top on that strong side with the wide receiver in the slot, a lot of times those guys, whenever the play is made over the top, they'll both react to the ball, and the more people you can have around the ball, the better off you are. So that's probably just like one that I've noticed that will work. But again, if you get caught, and say for instance that play is flipped to the other side, sometimes you can get roasted and toasted. So
I used to love the cover four system until I recently found out this Madden has a bug with zone coverages that can be exploited, and I will no longer exclusively depend on zone coverage to help me out in that.
I do think zone coverage can be a big help.
It can be a big help, but after a bug I found quite recently, if anybody uses that said bug, you are bad human being. I had to stick with at least man coverage on it. That way you don't get completely exposed, which I'll let you know about that later, Nate.
Yeah, I'm a man coverage guy. I will say, though, whether it's facing the offenses that Trey built, Maniac at times, the offenses he's built, the D-Monies, like there's some teams here, right? The Rodgers, Priest at times with his passing game. There's several teams out there that built offenses. A good physical, fast wide receiver with good route running and good catch and good speed with a quarterback that can make dime throws. There's nothing you can do. It just is what it is. I remember playing the Miami Dolphins the last cycle, and it just was like, it doesn't matter what you do. It just, unless you have 99 speed cornerbacks with 99 awareness, you're going to get beat. And so you sort of have to attack it differently. And I think depending on how you're getting attacked, because that's going to go to a second question here, you may need to take a creative way, a creative approach, which means, what are you doing on offense? We took away the play clock rules. Are you eating the clock? Are you running the ball? Are you keeping them from having lots of time? Think the strategies used against Peyton Manning back in the day. It's like keeping him off the field. He can't hurt you. And so going to his second question, are there things that you can do to help with the deep ball example? Double coverage, a wide receiver. Explain how you double a certain wide receiver. I think there's two ways, like you're shading in or out if you're getting attacked a specific way. If not, and the guy's really balanced with the type of routes he's running, and this is where Trey and I were talking, like, I think zone coverage can be very helpful. You're getting lots of drags, right? And he's setting up the deep routes by hitting you with tons of drags, getting you to suck up with that safety, and then boom, he's hitting you over the top. That's where that zone coverage, setting those manual settings in zone coverage, setting those drops, those flats, a little deeper than normal to kind of help you with the drags. That way you can keep watching over the top. Now, if a guy's really balanced, there's nothing you can do. And if a guy just has great speed with a great quarterback, there's nothing you do, aka the Bucks. He's got Palmer, he's got Drake May. He's just going to beat you over the top. And so what you just manually have to do is play safety. It's boring. It opens you up to getting gashed in the run. I got gashed. You're going to have to be a really good tackler. You got to play boring defense. But that's the only way I've found. Guys who want to just attack you at pure speed, you're going to have to play over the top. You have to play smart. You have to keep it all in front of you, play over the top for those streaks, but also get ready for those deep posts that's going to attack you in the middle. If you play too far over the top, he's just going to hit you right in the middle of the field. If you start playing the cover fours, the cover twos with the streaks on the outside, that's why I don't cover verticals the all verts well. I feel like it's a play that we should ban here, but the board doesn't support me in that because, all verts on first down, second down, third down, whatever, I just feel like the game doesn't cover it well. And even if you're playing the two-man over the top, you're getting burnt in the middle of the field. If you're playing cover three, you're getting burnt with the trip verticals because one guy's taking the safety away. So it can be difficult. You need to see how he's attacking you. And if he's being balanced, then you have to play really balanced yourself. Play boring, give up the plays, and stay patient. Try to wait until he tries to make a pass that he should not try to make him pay for it. And that's where you go put up points.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think in that situation too is where, like, your opponent, and kind of the way I've attacked some guys, especially this last season. Again, you start finding differences with your roster. The turnover of your roster's changed a little bit. You don't have a certain guy maybe that you had the previous season, so you have to adjust with what you have on your roster. But in the game with the Dolphins and stuff, he was kind of like really hitting me over the top and stuff. But I noticed if I kept it to where it wasn't a home run play and got him in the red zone, normally where I would have my success on defense would be in the red zone because things are tighter. You can play zone coverages a little bit differently in the red zone. So you can, if you're manning up a linebacker, you can kind of take away, the middle of the field where normally like in a different spot in the field, like, they have so much more room that you got to cover. And the way we play it, if you're in your zone, you're not roaming all over the place. But when you're kind of in close quarters, you're able to kind of cover a little bit more ground just because of the simple fact that there's not as much ground to cover. So it's kind of like a bend, don't break type defense feel to it. But yeah, if you're facing somebody like that, you can keep them to where you're getting them into the red zone, kind of controlling them that way and play really good red zone defense, a lot of times you can come out successful instead of giving up those home run shots every other play that they're taking down the field. Whereas they may get one off for 30 or 40 yards, but once they get into the red zone, then you'll start to see like a lot of those guys, their offense starts kind of struggling a little bit because what are they used to? They're used to throwing those deep crossers, deep type of routes, and so when everything gets tighter, closer in the red zone, they have a hard time kind of depicting and reading defenses because the windows are a lot smaller.
Any thoughts there, Trey?
Not really.
A man of many words.
You guys pretty much nailed it. There's not much else we can really talk about on that subject.
There's 5 questions left, and we're already an hour and a half deep. So let's see if we can't get through some of these. With a little over 3 weeks in, this is from Raj. With a little over 3 weeks in, which team is in the biggest early season surprise? So I just think, what teams are your early season surprises here 3 weeks in? I think we've touched on a couple of them. I would not call the Dolphins a surprise. I have to finally say it's good to see Roger and his Texans winning some ball games. They're sitting at 2-1. That's a surprise. Packers at 3-1. Hard to say he's a surprise, but how he's playing defense has to be a surprise. And then the last one that I'll throw in there, I don't know that this one's fair either, but the Titans at 3-1. Kobe came on the draft night. He said, I got a plan. I'm developing that plan. I plan on making a run here. His team has been really, really dominant early in this season with one tough loss against the 49ers.
I'm gonna go play devil's advocate. The total opposite end of this. I think the biggest surprise is the Falcons 1-3, Cardinals 1-2. The Seahawks 1-2. The almost like those 3 teams right there. We had a lot of discussion about those teams being in the mix of
Jaguars
divisional race. Which it's still early. It's still early in the season, but 3 games in, them having a losing record is kind of surprising. So,
Jaguars and Broncos also some big surprises.
For me, if I remember correctly, I saw that Colin won the NFC North last season. So the fact that he's going into this point with a winless record, kind of the biggest shock to me.
Absolutely. Little Koch, to cover the deep pass, would you, I don't know why so many deep passes here, but to cover the deep pass, would you suggest playing underneath coverage? I think it is a strategy, Little Koch, that you could try to implement. It just depends on how you're getting attacked, the makeup of your players. For me, and then I'll shut up because I know I'm being long-winded with all these answers, but playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my fastest guy is 94. Well, Palmer's, I think, 98 or whatever. So I knew man for man, I could not leave single coverage. So I had to go a little bit heavier zone than I think I normally wanted to. So it just depends on how you're getting covered. I think it definitely is a strategy. What do you guys think about the strategy of trying to play underneath coverage?
If you're playing like man and you're trying to make an adjustment, and if they're getting the crosser on you, if they're doing like a lot of cross or slants or whatever, you can play underneath and shade inside. I mean, that can help. Even on a crosser, they'll kind of undercut. They seem like they like to undercut, especially if you have, again, your personnel has to be really good. Their play rec has to be really good. If they're young guys that are kind of weak in those areas, awareness and stuff like that, I've found, because I have a few of those guys on my team, they don't play. It's almost like, I've told you to play inside and you're all like playing off out here in left field, what are you doing, type of thing. But like my guy Shepard, he's a perennial OMFL bowler here. He's just like, today he had 3 interceptions and stuff, and it was kind of the same thing, like hurt, like I think on 2 of the interceptions was trying to get a deep crosser, and it was in a man coverage, and he just trailed it and at the last second when he threw the ball, it was not so much a perfect throw, and he just broke on it. And I told him to play underneath inside, and so that's what he did, and he broke on it and intercepted it. So a lot of times those type of things can help you. But again, for me, if they're throwing like a streak down the field and you play underneath, what's going to happen is if you got a DeMarco or a Tyreek Hill and you're playing underneath, or what they're going to do, they're going to play trail. And if they've got a exceptional quarterback and they've got a really good deep ball accuracy, they're probably going to lay it over the top of your head, and you're going to be trailing the whole time and making a tackle after they've caught the ball. That seems to be what I've seen happen a lot. So the only way that pays off is if they miss the throw a bullet pass, and your guy's underneath, and he'll pick it off because he's closer to the trajectory of the ball. But anyway, that's long scientific part of it.
Yeah, if you're getting beat by the deep ball, playing underneath is just going to be a problem and then some for you. That's where you usually want to play over the top, just to make sure you don't get burned.
Yep.
If you're getting beat by like crossers or slants, you want to be on the inside. If you're getting beat by the out route, you obviously want to play the out. Getting beat by flats and curls and stuff, that's when you want to play the underneath.
Mr. Little Koch says, I've always believed that each Madden's fit some other people's playing styles better than others. With Madden 25, who have you seen have the most improvement to the way they play, particularly because of the game design? I think that's a really good question. And I will say this. There's one team that jumps to the tippy top of my head. Everybody else sort of like, I think you're a little bit of a stretch because we've seen these teams play well last Madden cycle. You got to go Fleury and the Jaguars. Now, I know it's early in the season. He's at 1-2, but overall, he's made the biggest leap from a team that literally was on the cusp of quitting the OMFL for, I don't know, the 10th time, and just because he couldn't win, to having the Jaguars, a team that was not fully built out, in the playoffs, making a deep run. And now this season, he's made a quarterback move that we are going to talk about here on the next question. But overall, he is playing much better football. Even if you talk about the Dolphins or the Packers or the Steelers or Colin and his Bears, like we've seen all of those teams win in the past. You and the Bills, like we've seen you win in the past. So I think everybody else is a bit of a stretch. I think overall, I would have maybe made a case for you. I think, Maniac, you have quickly transitioned to the new passing mechanics than a lot of other people. I know that you regressed late last season, but I feel like you got that kind of figured out moving forward again. And overall, though, everyone quickly adjusted to the kicking. Everyone is sort of here and there, hit and miss, adjusting to the new passing. I think overall, this is a pretty balanced Madden.
I do think the kicking meter is still like an issue for some guys. I've seen guys, in fact, the Dolphins game, that was one of the things that kept me in the game for a while, because he was hit me deep, and then I kept him out of the end zone within the 30-yard range, the 35-yard range, and he missed like two field goals. So that kind of kept me within striking range in that game and stuff. So I think the kicking meter has still been an issue for some. As far as like the most improvement, I think I think you gotta talk Fleury, but I think you look totally opposite of that. Who has regressed the most in this Madden because of it? You look at the Colts with Bronco Men.
Yeah.
He's always saying, I can't figure this out. Big Hurt has been saying, like, I can't figure it out. We've seen the Jets really kind of struggling, and again, he's kind of dealt with some new life situations going on and stuff. But so I think you look at maybe the total opposite of that spectrum, and I think that also plays into part of the question. He says that certain Maddens fit certain people's styles better, and I think it does. A lot of it can be just head just a problem just with it with your head, just like you get in your own head. But I do think the passing thing has been a struggle for some. But I also think that since we have, like, you can use two options, that some guys have figured out. Well, okay, I feel more comfortable with this option. Other guys are more comfortable with this other option. But I do think, like, I think the biggest, like, impact of anything that's been implemented in this Madden has been the kicking meter. I still see guys from time to time missing extra points, field goals, and those were, like, rarely ever happened in previous Madden. So now it's like a 75 to 80% chance you're going to make it, but there's still, like, those inflated numbers of a missed kick here and there that could impact the game.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Is this Madden? It's very much changed from the status quo of it feels like just a roster update. They kind of went in and completely changed the game with adding the new passing mechanic and kicking mechanic. It very much, if you can adapt to it, because I know OMFL has gone with the revamped passing as a thing, which a lot of guys got it, that if you played the college football game, you kind of got a jump start on that to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much, it feels so much different, and the running mechanics feel a lot, they're not so, it felt like you'd press the stick to the left once and they'd try to jump 2 yards, whereas this game, it feels like you might get half a step on that if you just press to the left.
I still think that there's some weird things on defense where they just don't give you full control of your player. Like, the animations kind of last an extra second longer than they should. And I don't know. I've just noticed, like, especially when you're trying to run somebody down, even if you're not sprinting, speed bursting, whatever you want to call it, like, you'll still run past the play because the animation just kind of kick in. So you got to, like, kind of time that out a little bit. I seen Kevin miss some kicks last night. Dwayne in the chat, he's working tonight, and that's why he's not here tonight. He talked about the kicking, so definitely onto something. D-Money says Penguins cut a cheaper. I love these, like, personal little anecdotes that we sprinkle in. I don't know why we take jabs at each other. Penguins cut a cheaper, faster, arguably better Madden quarterback in Fields for Trevor Lawrence, who he'll need to re-sign and will cost more. Do you like this move? Nipples chimed in and said, I do. Next question. And then Penguins answered, so I feel like I owe the answer. He said, full disclaimer, I re-signed him for less than Fields, and Trevor's a year younger with superstar and a higher overall. Personally, I don't care. What I do care about is that D-Money and D-Wayne did not win Mr. Fields, and that he ended up going to Fleury. Let that be a thing, because I cannot imagine D-Wayne and D-Money with Fields again, just dominating with a freaking clamp on the rest of us, with Fields. I understand why. I don't love that both of these players were cut, and I wish we had a better system than the one that we do to sort of figure out where these players should go. But I get why, because I think one or both or something had to use, like, some incentives to cut the bonus so they couldn't trade the players. So it's just something for us to keep chewing on about. How can we make our systems a little bit better? I just wish, especially that Trevor Lawrence is not a cut player, but a player that's traded or whatnot. Anyway, what do you think about this move?
Yeah, I mean, even though D-Money kind of took a little cheap shot at Penguins and stuff, I personally put in for him because I was all thinking the same thing. Like, well, I'm gonna at least put my name in the hat, so that way maybe I can prevent D-Money or so one of these other guys from just getting him for free, basically. So I threw my hat. I'm just letting everybody know I threw my name in the hat. So again, like you said, I'm glad that these guys didn't get him. So, but kudos to Fleury for that. I do think, though, in this Madden, when you have a arguably very kind of generational type specimen, even though he's not like really great in real life, but in this game,
yeah,
he is a beast. And you kind of trade for Trevor Lawrence the way it worked out. I think one, you better have a tremendous offensive line to back him up, and I just think that in the long run, yeah, he probably would have cost more or whatever. But when you have that type of player, it's like he's faster than some DBs, So it's like he's probably as close to Michael Vick as Michael Vick you'll get without having actually Michael Vick. So, and that's just the kind of the way I see it. You could go a little cheaper on the offensive line, or maybe not have as much as for tight end or something. When you've got guy that you step back there and you look, hey, nothing's open. I know we got rules on scrambling and stuff, but man, timely scrambles with a guy like that, 5-6 times a game can be the difference between winning and losing. And Dwayne has proved that tremendously. Probably him and D Money have proved that time and time again in the last 2 or 3 Maddens. If you've watched, they always have a quarterback that can move in the pocket and get out when they need him to bail.
Trey, what do you think is an outsider?
So let me get this right. The 2 people that have had Justin Fields and Trey Lance over the last 2 Madden cycles are complaining that somebody cut Justin Fields to get Trevor Lawrence. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It sounds like 2 people that are butthurt that didn't get the quarterback they wanted, and they went to somebody else and just figured they could fire a jab off for no apparent reason.
I also thought it was funny the way it ended up working out, that the 2 teams who cut these players also is the 2 teams who swapped. That was a little the same. Yeah. To be fair, Dwayne, because I was going to say it anyway. Dwayne, he didn't complain. Dwayne did not complain. That was just D Money that had the jabs out there. So just so that everybody knows, it was Koch, Maniac, D Money, Fleury, and Dwayne. They all put in the max that we allow, which is the max which was. The max in the game was over the max we allowed. So we let everybody bid the max for the player that he was asking for. I put all 5 in a random spin, literally spun it 4 different times. The 3rd one was the winner. I spun an extra just for the sake of finding out who would have won the 4th one. First one, D Money won. The 2nd and 3rd, Fleury won. So Fleury was the 3rd one I was going with no matter what. And then the 4th one, Maniac won. So those were those spins. And that's how it sort of all played out. Dwayne says, which defense front do you prefer, 4-3 or 3-4, and why? This is a great question. And depending on when you ask, I would have had a different answer. I used to, back in the day, only be a 3-4 guy because I liked the athleticism. I liked having the linebackers. And back in those Maddens, you had the leaping linebacker, right? So it was a real thing to sort of just take away the entire middle of the field. You were doubling your chances by having a 3-4, and it played the run pretty good. And then I sort of lost it the last few cycles, whether it was me or just the game. I tried my best to go 3-4 time to time. Couldn't do it. I was getting gashed in the run. And so, look, I played gashers in the NFC South. The guys who just freaking run it between tackles all night and punch you in the throat. And you just had to go 4-3. And so the last couple of Madden cycles, probably more than that, probably the last 6 or so, I've went a 4-3. Recently, and it was actually because us 3 were hanging out after the draft and just kind of talking about our teams. I'm tired, not even really thinking. I think I was intrigued by the conversation around a speedster defensive tackle, and I've had those the last 2 Madden cycles, and they have not paid off well for me, and they have not worked out well for me for a pass rush. That was where I went last Madden cycle and ended up kind of throwing me off for the whole cycle. But I was talking about Brisset, who's a real-life NFL player for the Saints. He's got some speed at defensive tackle, and Trey goes, well, it sounds like you got a 3-4. And I was like, I've never thought about it because 3-4 just kind of gets gashed all the time. And so I was like, Trey talked me into it without trying to talk me into it, swapped to a 3-4, And on the surface, I thought I was doing good until tonight. And I'll be honest, tonight, because I don't get to look at stats all that much, I see that I've given up like the 8th most points in the OMFL. And I was like, oh, crap, maybe I'm not doing as good as I thought I was. But I am in the top, I think, 3 or 4 in run defense. And so overall, my team is playing much better for the 3-4. And again, it was for the same reasons. I have 2 athletic middle linebackers, and I have some defensive tackles that can play defensive end and allow me to stand up my fast defensive ends. And so that's why I've kind of went with the 3-4, at least for right now. What about you guys? You like 3-4, 4-3, one way or the other?
I'm a multiple guy. I play multiple defense. I have the guys that can play DN with their hand on the ground. I have the guys that can play the outside linebacker. Then I have the guys that can play defensive tackle and the 4-3, and then also have the guys that can fill in and play that on a 3-4. I really, it depends on like who I'm facing. Like kind of like in the bowl game, which it didn't really work out for me against Dwayne, which a lot of people can say that it didn't really work out for me against Dwayne. But I tried to play a little bit more 4-3 at times because you have the more guys on the ground and the spaces on the rushing attack. But when you get into situations like where you're playing a really high-powered flying offense that, like to get the dink and dunk type of stuff, to me it seems like it helps to have that extra linebacker kind of around that line of scrimmage area that you can kind of take away some things that in a 3-4, just for instance, like say for a 4-3, like your linebackers, if you're in a cover 2, well, you've only got the 3 linebackers in the middle of the field and then the cornerback, and so there's a little bit bigger gap. So if a guy likes to throw slants, that slant's going to be, the window for the slant's going to be a little bit more open than what would be against like a 3-4, because you got those guys kind of more spread out in that 5 to 10 yard window. So anyway, that's kind of the way I've built my defense so far this Madden, and it seems like it's really paid off for me. Now, like I said, I'm not the greatest. I still could improve like some positions on my team, especially on a defensive tackle. I really need to probably have a bigger, stronger defensive tackle for the true nose guard. But I have like a lot of the pieces. Bolden, for instance, my import, he is the perfect non-Micah Parsons clone that I could basically have. He can play hand in the dirt, or he can play out. About the only thing he doesn't have, he can't really catch. So he at least knocks the ball down. He can't catch, so I think his catch is like 25 or something like that. So
if I could have it my way, I would be running as close to a CFL defense as I could by running the 4-4, but that's near nor there. So when it comes to being
I bet
in a
you
more
would.
of a base, hey, I'm Canadian. Let me run my Canadian defense, okay? But when it comes to between the 4-3 and the 3-4, I'm more of a 4-3 guy because I like to have 3 coverage linebackers out there. I'll occasionally, with how I have my defenses, I've kind of, in the NBC, I've been kind of building more of a multiple where I can have my linebackers that can also rush but also cover at the same time. So I'm kind of bouncing between being a hybrid right now.
I like the hybrid idea, really do. I think I've been forcing myself to go 4-3 a little bit more this year just to try to get in the groove. And I really like my 2 linebackers. I really like my linebackers overall. All right, 2 more questions, man. We got to get through this. Also, I'm just going to pause and say, like, I'm super disappointed in the chat tonight. I get it. Some people don't like each other. Golly, I'm not going to air out dirty laundry. You can go read the chat yourself. Some of our guys, we have rules. They want to make sure everybody's sticking to those rules. If not, it feels fishy to them. On the other end, we don't have to be buttholes and say your job is to stream, not guide people to your stream. Let's all chill out, okay? Let's all just we're making mountains out of molehills. We should be and could be and I expect people to be better. Also, on a more positive note, the Eagles upset the Giants tonight, and we always talk about the Eagles being right there. Big upset against the Giants tonight. All right, Mr. Tim says, new podcast starting this week. Any thoughts or advice? Number one, I love the content from Tim, from Nice Songer, from the other guys that have been, Flurry's been producing content. Maniac's been doing some stuff, so I love the content. Please, you cannot overpost that stuff. Let people know where it's at. Overtalk it. Let us see it. Annoy people with it. I don't care. I'll tell Bill to shut up if you annoy him. I love to be reminded and see the content that's out there. Number two, there's a tuition and a price to be paid for everything, Tim, and your tuition for online content is your first 100 are going to suck. So just knock out your first 100. Know they're going to suck. Know that you're going to look back at them in 5 years from now and go, I sound like a bumbling idiot. I've been doing this for 10 years and I still sound like a bumbling idiot. And I get paid to speak, publicly. Like I'm a publicly paid speaker, and I get on here late at night and I'm tired and I can't think and I'm bumbling words, and it is what it is. Have fun with it. Be yourself. Know that your first 100 are going to suck. So get through your first 100. Keep that train moving. Be consistent. If you can be consistent, people will start to listen and follow. What about you guys? Podcast advice?
Nice Songer reached out to me in his new slogan that he had for, I think it was like Odin's vision or something like that. We were talking, and I told him, I said, well, for me, like when I've done the Tony Bono and stuff like that, it's always like I kind of put on a mask and become a different persona, because I do struggle in speaking publicly myself, and so like it was really weird when I put on this like different persona of like being Tony Bono, and I had a different voice and talking about my team and stuff. It just seemed like it kind of flowed better for me, and just the main thing is just to have fun with it. I mean, it's extracurricular activity for you to do. Talk about a league, just like Press Pass Live. We're here just talking about not just our team or one person. We're trying to talk about the whole league, and so those type of things like that. This is like but for on a personal standpoint, like when you talk about your team and things that, for one, it should be like really fun for these guys, because they're talking about a league, a Madden league, about a team that they're running, which is also their favorite team in real life. And so anytime I think you get to that point and you're able to kind of express yourself and then have others that listen to you and kind of chime in, I think that's just like a real fun aspect of what a community kind of incorporates along with you doing something like that. So I guess that's kind of my explanation on it.
Yeah, I personally, when I was running my Lions team, I tried to do it. It's not for me. I can hop in and tag in and chat with you guys and get through a podcast. It's not. I can't do one on my own. But for the guys trying, that's amazing steps forward, because you're putting content to help develop the OMFL and essentially grown folks in general.
Two things I'd also add. Number one, the best advice I've ever been given and that I give to people that want to make content or public speak or entertain or anything: don't serve what you wouldn't eat. If you come to my house, you're not going to get steamed broccoli and steamed cauliflower, because I don't eat steamed broccoli and steamed cauliflower. You're going to get something that's bad for you, going to put weight on you, going to clog your arteries, but you're going to feel really good about it. Don't serve what you wouldn't eat. Don't give to people something that you wouldn't listen to yourself. And number two, the best entertainers are people who find aspects of themselves and just turn the volume up a whole lot. And so whether it's wrestling, a character in a movie, a character on the radio, a show, whatever, the best characters, the best entertainers just find aspects of themselves that they like and they see in other people, and they just turn up the volume, whether that's energy, whether that's a gimmick, whatever it is, just turn the volume up on it and have some fun. All right, last one. I am absolutely wore out. I've been talking all day and I am at the end of my rope. I didn't even get to play any games tonight. We've been on this for 2 hours. Mr. Kobe says there are currently 9 wide receivers averaging more than 100 yards per game. Let's get over there and look. Of those, who will keep up their production and who means the most to their... Okay, who keeps up their production and who means the most to their team? So I'm going to try to pull up the receivers really fast, as even Madden's like, hey, I'm tired, man. Come on, stop pressing all these buttons. Let's get over here to the NFL. Beep, beep. Let's get over here to receivers. Let's get over here to average. Is that what it's talking about? Average, right? No. Yes. No. Yes. So we've got DeMarco. We got Watts, Freeman, Titans, Watts, Bears, DeMarco, Texans, Mingo with the Panthers, Thornton with the Patriots, Neighbors to the Giants, Barkley to the Bengals, Franklin to the Broncos, Cooper to the Browns, and Brian Thomas Jr. to the Jaguars. Which of these receivers do you think will keep up the production, and which of them mean the most to their team?
I've got to go with DeMarco from the Texans. He is the center point of his offensive production. He is the focal point. You know who he's targeting. You know who he's going to, and he's still getting it done at a high rate. I mean, a high rate.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players.
Let me add this in real quick before Trey. By far, the most important has to be DeMarco. Not only is he putting up stats as he always does, but like he's almost their only weapon. Like, you know, he's going to him, you know, he's going to throw to him, and you still can't stop it. The guy is putting up 250 yards a game.
That's wow. Yeah, when you're putting 250 yards, that's we're 3 weeks in? That means he's got almost 1,000 yards.
It's stupid.
Like, that's ridiculous.
On 16 catches.
Jeez, Louise.
16 catches.
20 balls a game?
16 catches, 741 yards, 270 yards a game.
He's averaging almost 50 yards
50 yards a catch. 9 touchdowns.
So
more than half his catches have been touchdowns.
Everybody forgot that it's a track race.
I cut you off, Trey. I didn't mean to. I just had to like clearly the most important receiver.
Yeah, that's clearly hands down without question. Like, if you're getting 50 yards a catch, that means at any point you can put yourself in the field goal range off one throw.
Yeah, it's stupid.
That's ridiculously crazy.
Guys, I think that'll keep up production. Watts, Colin knows how to get receivers the ball. He knows how to kind of frame them up and get them plays. We'll see if Bill can keep it up. We know Barkley can. We think Barkley can keep it up. I think he's also one of the most important receivers for his team. The rest of these, TBD, new quarterback in Jacksonville. Amari Cooper is getting older. Franklin, the Broncos are a little hit and miss early this season. Bobby Freeman, like, this is the Titans' first season kind of getting things turned around here. Mingo, we know, is a big play guy, but we've seen Bryce Underwood, sorry. I got the stupid kid that left LSU on my mind. Bryce Young struggling a little bit this season. Thornton, we got to see more from the Patriots. I don't know. Like, I think the top two are pretty clear and evident.
Yeah, I don't think you can really, like, it's like the DeMarco is like you said, it's like that's Houston's, and like that's their main offensive output right there, and the fact that he's only got 16 receptions and almost a couple hundred yards away from 1,000 yards, man, he is. He's 99 speed, 99 acceleration, so it's kind of hard to match up. You know, if you got if you got 90 plus or 90 and below speed corners or DBs, man, you're cooked before you even get on the field. So, I think the other one that you could kind of is what you talk about, Freeman. I think Freeman is almost right there with only 23 catches. knocking on the door 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. I think he is really the main another main output for that team. Watts, I think that's just no shade thrown at Colin, but I think Colin's really force feeding this guy to grow him, to build him up. So,
all right, Nate, question: DeMarco instant Hall of Famer if he hits 4,000 this season?
Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. Period. I think he's ranking up there in the top receivers that we've seen in the OMFL. Just kind of period. I think we'd all agree, right? Poor Raj, his health just doesn't allow him to stay focused. He just physically can't. Poor guy, he says it, not me. He's high half the time playing these games, and he still pulls up these kind of stats. So I think I wish he had more wins, but I think he clearly is he's a big time player that should be immortalized in the OMFL.
Yeah, he gets my vote.
It scares me just how good Raj could be if he didn't have all these complications, which really sucks.
I agree.
Because, he can play with the best of them. Could you just imagine if he was, clear and in great health and being able to concentrate on the game like we all can? I would just be amazed at how many wins that guy would get.
And it's scheme in a lot of ways. That was the other funny part about DeMarco. And then we'll put a bow on this thing. He's got 5.6 rack yards per game. It's just he's average. He's got 90 total yards after catch. It's just, 3 games, 800 yards, 90 of it's yards after catch. So it's all scheme. He's just getting this guy wide open. He's making big plays. And I don't love what I'm about to say, but I think a lot of the conversations have touched on it. I think everyone is quietly, not so quietly, picked up on the theme for Madden 25, and that is speed is king. And I'll get us started with a final thought, and then I'll give it to both of you. I think that sucks. The anytime Madden's speed will always be king, but I like it when Madden is a bit more balanced, where you can build other style of players and still win games. And we're not seeing the D-Monies of the world do what he's doing. Go look at his team. Just go look. And I'm not stupid. Guys here, go look at all the top teams, find the themes, and go build teams just like them. I just don't. Our rules, the structure of the league, everything has been to allow for multiple styles of team building and coaching to win ball games. And I think, unfortunately, in Madden 25, and maybe it's been like this for a couple of Maddens, and because I don't win and I stay stubborn to trying to build teams a different way is why I don't win. And, everybody's like, no, stupid. Just go look at how people who won all last Madden cycle did it. They all did it a certain way. But to me, this one feels a certain way. That's speed. Just go get the fastest players and everything will work out well for you. Fastest receivers, biggest arm quarterback, fastest tight ends, fastest cornerbacks, fastest linebackers. Just go get the fastest team and you'll be just fine overall. And I think that sucks. That leads me to my final thought. Maniac and I, and Trey at times when you were here, have been slider people. And Raj, used to stay up late, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with me working on sliders and testing things. Now I just made up my mind, I think sort of in contradiction to my guy Maniac of I ain't touching them this year. I'm going to touch them very minutely. And we were running pretty close to 50s across the board. There's some minor touches. And then Maniac started dangling the carrot in front of me again and, shared with me a YouTube channel of a guy that is supposedly, got the best sliders out there. And I've been watching him and the thing that intrigues me is the thing that intrigued me last Madden, and that's using penalty sliders to help address some of the issues that we see in Madden. And early in this Madden, that was the only changes we had. Season 1 was all penalty sliders, and then I kind of reset them because we weren't seeing a big difference. And we still may make a few more changes, mainly around pass rush. We're going to keep an eye on pass rush. I know Penguins has brought that up a couple times in Press Pass Live, but Maniac, in all transparency, I was watching one of his videos because he came out with like 5 videos in like 8-day time, all saying best sliders ever. I'm like, how can they be the best sliders ever? You just made a video 2 days ago. And I've realized everybody who does really good slider work does them on CPU settings, and the way they quote unquote look at sliders is sliders for offline franchises mainly. Like, how do you make the CPU play really good? This guy's the same. And then he said something on this last video. I was like, that's exactly why I'm not doing it. He makes this video 2 days before, best sliders ever. Here's what I just found out. I broke the code. Less than 8 hours later, I think he makes another video saying, oh, man, just updated that changes everything. And I got to figure it out again. That's why we don't do it. I'm just not. I've spent 20 years messing with sliders. I ain't doing it again. We're going to play the game the way Madden builds it, which is default. And if it sucks, it sucks. And we'll make some minor tweaks on quarterback accuracy, pass block, run block, maybe defensive coverage. Like those things, minor tweaks, 5 up or 5 down. But overall, my closing thought is I ain't doing it. I ain't changing updates in December and changing updates in February when everyone's done with the game and tired of me. And I'm just not... Oh, God. Imagine updates that change everything in the middle of the playoffs. Like, I'm not doing it. I just can't. I'm too old for it. I can't keep up. So give me some closing thoughts, fellas.
Yeah. The slider deal, I think it's kind of funny. But then I remember all the headaches that we had together. Like, I think it was like 2 Maddens ago. Like, we spent nearly the full, what was it? One holiday, like one Christmas break, nearly, that we were just like just working with sliders constantly every day. It was just like, it was so. By the end of that, it was just like you just wanted to burn the game and forget it. You know, it's just. I will say, like I've watched him. I haven't done a whole lot of what he said, just for the simple fact, just like we say, he plays a lot of CPU stuff. Now, like in the Deuce, we do have CPU games, obviously, because it's 120 something college teams compared to only 30 something owners. You know, so the one thing I have found that has been at least somewhat effective has been the penalty sliders, because like one of the videos that he talked about, like how it affects like how players respond to certain things, like this last season, like we had nothing but DNs in for the Heisman, and it was like 40 something sacks each guy had, and they were like in the top 5 Heisman things. So we had guys getting 7, 8, 10 sacks per player per game against the CPU. So it was stupid stuff. And so we were trying to curb that and stuff. But I've also, through watching this guy, I've upped the offside sliders and the false start. And what it does is basically it does allow for more penalties to happen, because one the defense just fires off, and so a lot of times when you're running a blitz or whatever, they're going to be antsy and they're going to jump off sides every once in a while. So it's not like every time you turn around, we still got pass rush. But it has seemed to help kind of curb that, because I don't know if it's like the AI says, okay, well, you're getting off the ball too fast, so cut back because you're going to get a penalty or whatever. So we saw a downtake in that. And with the false start, what it's done is create the offensive line to be a little bit more flexible. I don't know if it's programmed into the game to where, like, if it's at a certain point, they're not going to move until they know for sure that the ball is hiked. So a lot of times you'll have those speed rushers get right around the edge and they never move. And so what I've saw, at least in the game that I played against the CPU and against Denbrew, was that you weren't getting the instant edge every time for the DN, because your offensive tackle is jumping out of their stance quicker. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know why when they program these games, they make stuff do that, and you have to like go through and find all these stupid things. Like it just should be, if pass block, you want it to improve.
Yeah.
When you slide that over, it should improve. If you want pass rush to improve, you should have a slider that says make the pass rush better. But they don't. They hide it all within the code in these different sliders, and then you have this random guy from YouTube you come across, and he's talking about it. You're like, oh well, I need to look at trying something, because we got every other team getting 40 sacks from one player in a season. That's not fun. But so far, it seems like it's kind of working the way he explained. So I don't know. Again, like I said, we're CPU guys, too, because we got CPU teams and stuff. But some of the head-to-head games that we've had, I've seen a difference. So.
Well, get me a penalty slider set for the OMFL, and I'll definitely take a look at them. Mr. Trey, thanks for popping in here. You kind of startled me a little bit because I am not able to look at the voice chat, but give me some closing thoughts as you hung out with us tonight.
Yeah, it sounds like the OMFL it's thriving. It's got some issues with the deep ball by the sounds of it, but it's glad to see that we're still up and rolling.
I don't think we're going anywhere. Tonight has turned into a Joe Rogan podcast. We're over 2 hours long. These are way too long after a Monday of me talking all day for work, then talking all night for church, and then popping on here for talking for 2 hours. Nobody wants to hear that much. Tim in the chat says Lions hold on to win a defensive turnover field game with big late interception from Hutchinson, final 20-17. Good win, Mr. Tim. For
Hutchinson with the game-winning pick.
I know that's a bit of a weird name there to pop up for the interception, but Tim getting there and hitting the quarterback and getting a pick. Maniac, I'm serious about some penalty sliders. If you can find something that works well. Looking for more pass rush really is, I think, kind of the thing that I'd like to see buffed up a little bit. Not crazy, not 40, but a little bit would be kind of nice. So go ahead and send those my way. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you to Maniac and Mr. Trey popping in here. Sorry that D-Wayne couldn't be here tonight. He had to work, but it's good to see him in chat. Guys, take care of yourselves this week. It is Thanksgiving. It's the holidays. That can bring up a lot of emotions. Not all of us have family and friends around. Some of us are lonely. Some of us are dealing with heavy stuff. Some of these emotions. My baby brother passed away at 24 during the Thanksgiving Day holiday, and so Thanksgiving brings up some tough emotions for my family. Take care of yourselves, all right? Put yourselves around people that bring you energy, that bring you life. Be willing to tap people for help. And if you're around and you're like, yo, I don't like being around by myself, hit somebody up in chat, man. They'll play games with you. I'll be around a little bit that afternoon. Take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, God bless. Peace.
Smash that like and subscribe.